Kuzangbola. Welcome to Bhutan e-learning platform. My name is Kille Gelson and currently I am serving as the Chief District Education Officer in Chukha. Today I am here to take lessons in physics for Key Stage 4, which is meant for grades 9 and 10. Today I am here to discuss on the topic current electricity. When I say current electricity, everybody knows the importance of current electricity. Without electricity, this videography is not possible. The whole modern equipments and devices will fall apart, will not be functional, and then all of us, we know the importance of current electricity. Current electricity has not only become a major part of this modern life, but it itself is the modern life. Today, I would like to take you through these objectives. By the end of the lesson, we would be able to describe effects of potential difference on the electric current flow. Relate the phenomena of electrical resistance to real-life situations wherever we use electricity. State the common sources of electric current. And hopefully, by the end of the lesson, I'll be able to tell you a brief idea of how electricity is generated in the generation points or at the generation points and how it is transmitted to other places for its usage. Okay, potential difference. When you talk about potential difference, I would like to make an analogy of the flow of water. This is very easy to understand, the potential difference. So therefore, before I go into the potential difference, I would like to tell you that whenever there are two tanks, two water containers, having same water level in the two containers, and if you try to connect the two containers by a pipe, the water doesn't flow from one container to another container. But if you want the water to flow from one container to another container, what do? One solution is, or one way of doing it is, change the water level difference. You can put more water in one container and increase its water level difference. And it is seen that if it is connected by a water pipe, then water will flow from its higher level to lower level. Similarly, if you touch a cold object, for example, if I keep my hand on the table, then what happens is the heat will flow from its higher temperature, from my body, to its lower temperature. That's the cold body. In the similar way, when we talk about potential difference, it is very useful to take into account this analogy. Now, if you see here, in a normal body, for example, in this case, I would like to again take the help of a comb which is used on a dry hair. If you try to comb a dry hair by using a plastic comb, what happens? Now, when you comb your hair, provided the hair is dry, the result is better if the hair is dry. When you comb the hair by using a plastic comb, what happens is particles are transported, particles are moved. In essence, what will happen is, in the beginning, when the comb and the hair are not rubbed against each other, this is the situation. The situation here is, you will see that in the body, the number of positive charges and the number of negative charges are same, meaning the body is electrically neutral. But this is the situation before rubbing. You will see that on the surface X and surface Y, the number of positive charges and number of negative charges are same. That means the body is electrically neutral. But if you rub, in case of the comb rubbing the hair, dry hair, what happens is, when you rub, after rubbing, you see that on one body, in case of the comb here, the surface Y here is the comb. In case of surface Y, you will see that the number of negative particles, electrons, these negative particles, we call them as electrons, as you are aware from your lower classes. This electron, the number of electrons are more on surface Y, and the number of electrons on surface X is less. In science, or scientifically, we say that on surface X, there is deficit of electrons, meaning the number of electrons has been transferred to surface Y. And you see that on the surface Y, you have excess of electrons. In other words, surface X becomes positively charged surface. We call it as positive potential. This surface is said to be at the positive potential. And the surface Y, where there is excess of electrons through the transfer, we call that surface as negative potential. And we consider the positive potential to be at a higher potential. We say that electrically surface X is at a higher potential than surface Y. That's why I have marked here as lower potential on surface Y. Now, what happens if you connect these two by a conducting surface or a conducting wire? If you have a conducting wire like aluminum or a copper, like our analogy of water traveling from its higher level to its lower level when the two containers are connected by a pipe, in this case, if I connect these two surfaces by a conducting wire like this, you will see that the flow of electrons, the electrons start to flow from its higher concentration, meaning from the surface where there's excess of electrons, the electrons start to flow to another surface which has deficit of electrons. Like the water flowing from the higher level to the lower level, here electrons start to flow from its higher concentration to its lower concentration, in this case from surface Y to surface X. And when electrons flow from surface X to Y, we say that the electric current is flowing in the opposite direction. Even though electrons are flowing from X to Y, we say conventionally, that's why the term conventional electric current. Convention to keep the practice true. Like we have water flowing from its higher level to lower level, heat flowing from higher temperature to lower temperature, we also say that electric current is flowing from its higher potential to lower potential. But you have to remember one thing here, that the flow of conventional electric current direction is opposite to the flow of electrons or the negative charges. That's why, now how do we define potential difference? As I said, the potential difference between surface X and Y was the result which made the electric current flow from one point to another. In the same way, when it comes to potential difference, we define the potential difference as it is the amount of work done in moving a unit positive charge from one point to the other point. And usually it is denoted by capital letter V, and we say it is measured in terms of volts. And the instrument which we use to measure potential difference, it is called as voltmeter. And these days we have digital voltmeters. In olden days we used to have this analog voltmeter. Now we have digital voltmeter, and we can measure the potential difference between 2 points by using this voltmeter. And if you know the potential difference, then you know that. By now you know that if there is a potential difference, then the current will flow from its higher potential to lower potential. But electrons will flow in the opposite direction. One thing you have to remember is the flow of electrons is always opposite to the flow of conventional electric current. Then what is electric current? Electric current is the rate of electric charge flowing through a particular point or through particular cross-sectional area. So that is the electric current, and electric current is measured by an instrument called ammeter, and it is measured in terms of amperes, and it is denoted by capital letter A. So by now you must have known that for electric current to flow from one point to another point, there should be potential difference. And later on in the next session, you will also be learning that potential difference and the current has certain kind of relationship, which you will learn in the other section of the lesson. Now, to make it a bit interesting, I would like to show you this picture. And you know that this picture is of a typical cell, torch cell. People generally call it as battery, but technically it should be cell because it's only one. If you have more than one, then it's called a battery. If it's just one, then we say torch cell. So this one, the picture here shows a typical torch cell. And as I said, for current to flow, there should be potential difference. If you see this particular diagram alongside, I'm trying to show here that this particular torch cell, one end it's called the positive terminal, and the other end is called the negative terminal. Positive terminal is supposed to have deficit of electrons. Now you know that diagram. The two surfaces. One surface where there is deficit of electrons, and one surface there was excess of electrons. In a typical torch cell like this, you see that it is marked, one end is marked as positive and the other end is marked as negative. This indicates that the end which is marked as negative will have excess of electrons. Do you remember that two surfaces, X and Y? So in the similar way, the end of the cell which is marked as negative will have excess of electrons, and the end which is marked as positive will have deficit of electrons. And if you now try to recollect the two diagrams, X and Y, you remember that if you try to connect the two surfaces X and Y by a conducting wire like copper, electric current will start to flow in the copper wire. Similarly, here, as I said, this end is called positive potential and this is called negative potential. Negative potential is at a lower potential, positive potential is at a higher potential. Now, if I try to connect these two ends by a conducting wire, in this case, now this particular ever-ready cell, torch cell here, you should be able to make the comparison between this and this. If I try to connect the negative and the positive terminal by using a conducting wire like this, and if I put a bulb in the circuit, this is what happens. Now you see that the bulb glows. Next we will see how does a bulb glow. And to understand this one, let's look at this picture. Now in this picture, you will see that I have tried to magnify a portion of the conductor. And then in this one, I would like to first of all tell you that these are the positive ions. This particular sphere-like thing in this diagram are the positive ions. And this particular icon here are the electrons. Now, what happens when a current flows? As you are aware, electric current is the flow of electrons or flow of charges. Only thing is the direction of the conventional current is just opposite to the direction of the electrons. Now in this diagram, you will see that when electric current flows, meaning if there is a potential difference and if the current flows through this particular conducting wire, you will see that these are the electrons moving. Now as you can see from the diagram, these are the electrons moving along the conductor. And when the electrons move, they will collide against each other in that particular material of the wire. They will collide against each other and the electrons will also collide against the positive ions in the material of the wire. In the process, what happens? Now, when they collide against each other, the movement of the electrons, or we say the drift of the electron, is disturbed by the collisions among themselves or when they collide with the positive ions. And this disturbance in the motion results in something called resistance of the wire. As you can see, resistance is the obstruction of the material of the wire which is produced to the movement of the electrons. So these electrons, when they try to move, there is collision amongst themselves and the positive ions of the wire. This results in the current flow hampering. It hampers the current flow. Now, if you see the diagram, you will see that flow of electron is from Y to X. And as you know, electric current will flow from X to Y, just the opposite. And this particular resistance, electrical resistance, is responsible for the glow of the bulb. Usually, the filament of the bulb is made of an element called tungsten. And tungsten has very high melting point, and it also offers very high resistance to the flow of electric current. Now when there is collision or when there is electrical resistance, because of the collisions within the material of the wire, there is lot of heat produced. And the heat produced in the tungsten wire is so much so that the tungsten wire glows. And the tungsten wire has high melting point and therefore it doesn't melt, meaning it keeps the connectivity and glows constantly. And this is the reason why the bulb glows. And now we can say that the bulb glows because of the electrical resistance. Now, electrical resistance. Then what is electrical resistance? It is the obstruction caused by the material of the wire to the flow of electric current in a conducting wire, and it's usually measured in terms of ohms. And we write the symbol of the ohms like this. And it is measured by an instrument called ohm meter. Certain things to think about. Children, I'll keep this one for you. What are the certain things which affects the resistance of a wire? First thing definitely is the length of the wire. Second, it is the thickness or the cross-sectional area of the wire. Please find out how it affects. It's available online. This will give you enough time to use your smartphones and then see what happens to the thickness or what happens to the resistance when the thickness of the wire increases. Or the other thing is you can find out what happens to the resistance when the longer wire is used or shorter wire is used. Try and find out the factors yourself, children. Next, I would like to tell you some of the common sources of electricity. As you are aware from your lower classes, common sources of electricity and the ultimate source of electricity is the sun itself. If there is no sun, all the other forms of energy will be all absent on this earth. And the other forms of the electricity are hydroelectricity, and Bhutan is very, very popular. And without hydroelectricity, Bhutan, we will not be able to generate as much revenue as we are generating now. And in Bhutan, we have so many hydro projects. And now, in places like Wangdi, we are experimenting some wind energy. And I tell you, boys and girls, wind energy is very popular in countries like Denmark. Next, we have other types of fuels like the fossil fuels. And in some developed advanced countries, people use nuclear energy as a source of electricity also. Now here, you can try out and see what are other additional sources of energy. You can find out this one online again. You can use your smartphones and use it smartly to browse some other sources of electricity. Now in Bhutan, we have Chukha Hydro Project, CHPC, where electricity is generated. We have Tala Hydro Project, we have Kurichu, we have Mangdichu, we have Basochu, we have Dagachu. And dear children, in all these hydroelectricity projects, electricity is produced from something called generation plants. And you will learn about this generation plant in the other sections. And the electric current produced in these generation plants are known as alternating electric current or alternating current. The current which is produced by a torch cell, it is called as direct current. You will learn about direct current and alternating current in some other sections of this particular project. Now, I'll just give you, children, I'll just tell you how electricity is produced, and then we'll not go into the technicalities of how generation is done, but once electricity is produced from the hydro projects, it is transmitted over long distances, and then this transmission or this way of transmitting electricity over long distances and utilization, it is known as grid system. And what happens is from the projects like Tala project, Chukha Hydro project, this electricity is produced from the generation plant, and then it is sent through a device called as step-up transformer, and whatever electric current is produced is changed into a stepped up, or is changed into a bigger voltage, and then transmitted over a long distance, and it is taken to places like Thimphu, Paro, Wangdi, and once they reach these particular places, they are called as substations. Then in these substations, what will happen is the electric current which is transmitted over long distances, it is passed through a device called as step-down transformer, where the voltage is decreased, and the voltage is decreased to such an extent which can be utilized at that particular area. For example, in houses we use about 220 volts, but in industrial areas we'll need to have a bigger, like 30 kV volts. So it all depends upon what consumption you want. And then just to give you an idea, here I have given you an example of THPA grid system. From Tala Hydro Project Authority, we produce electricity, and at the generation point, it is about 14 kilovolts approximately. And then it is passed through device called step-up transformer, and then the electric current is changed into about 400 kilovolts, and then it is transmitted over longer distance. And then once it reaches the place of consumption, like here in Thimphu or in Punakha Wangdi, then we use a device called step-down transformer, and then in that step-down transformer, it is changed into the required voltage. Like in some cases, it is 66 kilovolts, in some cases it is 33 kilovolts, and in some cases it's 400, and mostly in common households we use it at 220 volts. I hope this lesson was worth attending, and then I hope that we will see you in the other sections of this particular program. Thank you. Kadiche.